KJ's here with me. Crazy turn of events last night. One story after another. Not quite the drama of the Caicedo deal last year, but what's your take on it all, mate? You're on mute, by the way.
This is worse than the Caicedo drama from last season. Because a player that they want to get rid of in Gallagher is now on the cusp of staying because of this fall through, you know? And it's just crazy. Yeah. I've been keeping my mouth quiet about Chelsea. I've been in the group chat going back and forth with Don and Ches, and I only do that because they ask questions of us as fans, but sometimes they don't want to answer questions about their own club. That's why I do it. But big up,
Ches. Yeah, just to let everyone know, full disclosure, Ches asks everybody hundreds of questions a day about their club and expectations. Every question posed to him this summer, his response has been, "I'll answer it on the 31st of August."
Yeah, that is crazy, man. Crazy. So I've just been listening to what they've been saying. I mean, you know what? Fair enough. Chelsea could turn it around, this, that, and the third. This has just confirmed to me that things aren't what it seems. This rosy, blue-tinted world that some of these Chelsea fans are living in, that everything's going well, everything's perfect, like everything's beautiful. It's not, is it? Like, take off the glasses, because how the situation has unfolded in the last 24 hours is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And the fact that you're going to go after a player that you rejected last summer in favor of your manager in Poch, you didn't want Felix. You're now going to go get him now. Guys, what's happening there? You can say salty all you like, but listen, if this was Man United, if this was Liverpool, if this was any other club, West Ham, Everton, Chelsea fans, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea fans will be in the chat right now saying, "Oh, you guys are a mess. You guys are crazy. You guys aren't not an unserious club. You guys are a foolish club, finished club, wash club." Because it's Chelsea, it's no, it's fine, and we're getting a better player in Felix over Amarodian. But the fact that he was going for Amarodian in the first place is something that you need to be checked. Something needs to be looked at in your scouting department. The fact that guy was the guy you're signing, because Felix was there. Felix was already there. Felix wasn't at another club. He didn't magically appear from nowhere. Felix was already at Atleti, and they could have signed him. They could have signed him over Amarodian anyway, you know?
I want to say this. I want to say this at that point. We'll move on to the next bit. I want to say that it's double. I'm really balanced here and kind of fair Chelsea. So, first of all, a lot of the comments are saying, "Well, Poch rejected him." Cool, but I thought it was the club that was picking the players and the sporting directors, and there was a plan. So, if you've got a manager last summer saying no to players, this summer they're saying yes to players, that shows there is no clear plan at a club, because you shouldn't be letting the manager dictate. It should be the club that's dictating the kind of players that you want. At the same time, in reverse, in defense of Chelsea, we saw a few years ago, Arsenal put bids in first for Buendia. They bid to buy Buendia before they tried to buy Odegaard. We saw this, it played out. And although the media tried to spin it as Odegaard was always the number one choice, if you ask another woman to marry you the day before you went ask Kai, you could never be able to convince Kai she was the number one choice. Okay, that's just the long and the short. That's the long and the short of it. But it worked out very well for Arsenal, because we've seen Odegaard go to this level, and Buendia has kind of trod water, and you could argue slightly regressed. So I think this Man United have done this, where with Chase Sancho all summer, not got him, Cavani and Ahmad right at the end of the window. And it's taken until now for Ahmad to start showing his worth to us, because we didn't really have a plan for him. At the same time, I've already given the Arsenal example of where it can work. So the proof is going to be in the pudding on this one. I understand people defending their club and saying, well, no, Poch rejected him. It was a Poch decision, nothing to do with the club. and defending it and saying it's an excellent signing. I also get people stating this seems a bit off. Where is the planning? He's been available all summer, Joao Felix. We would all say he's better than Samuel Almirodian. Why have you even waited until now for the deal to fall through because of image rights to go for him? Is he really part of the plan? So I do think it is a fair I don't think it is salty to challenge it. I just don't think we should be closed-minded on this. But it's been dramatic. It's been absolutely dramatic.
And I remember when we signed Jaro, and I'm not a guy that likes to do tit for tat because it's silly. But remember when we signed Jaro and the narrative was, oh, he was forced to leave. So really, it's not really a good signing. Well, they're forcing Felix out. They've been trying to force Felix out for ages, bro. What we're saying now. The thing is, Felix, he is a talented player. He is a talented player. And if you told me that Chelsea were going back in for him at the start of the window, I'd have been like, you know what, fair enough. He's been there before. He did okay. I think Chelsea fans overhype his time at Chelsea. But he was okay. You know what I mean? And going back for him in this time where you need an experienced player, a bit more edge up front, cool, isn't it? But it's the fact that it's happened in the way that it has. It makes me. I just look at Chelsea and be like, how are you planning for your squad? Because we was getting told that the striker profile that they want is tall, strong, physical, can hold up the ball, fights with defenders. Like that's the kind of player that we've been told that they were looking to get. A traditional number 9. So Almirodian was that in that mold, right? So that's fine. You've now pivoted from Almirodian to Joao Felix. And it's like, but they're completely different players.
But that's only if they don't go and get Osimhen. Because I feel the only element of this Joao Felix deal that I think is concerning to me personally is if they're only doing it to make sure Conor Gallagher leaves to help balance the books. Because remember, if they buy Joao Felix for, say, 40 million, that's 40 million spread over 5 years. Where if they sell Conor Gallagher for 40 million, it's 40 million in on their accounting straight away. Because, and I think this is more about the Chelsea fans that we've been speaking to privately. Maybe they were just bullshitting a little bit about their club's plan of action. And that's not a dig at the wider Chelsea fan base or Chelsea at large. It's what they told us. So KJ's only reacting to what he has been told all summer, that Samuel Almirodian's right because he fits the profile 100%. If you don't go and get Osimhen now and you just end up with Joao Felix, it is a fair challenge to say to those particular Chelsea fans, well, why has your plan suddenly changed? What's the rationale behind it? Are you not concerned on the eve of a Premier League? Yeah, that makes sense to me personally. Challenge here from Strasbourg Steve says, how many man of the match performances or standout games did Joao Felix have for Barcelona last year, people? Let's be real. He didn't have that many. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been these questions. Do you think he will have a better time in England this time around, KJ?
No. I think we'll see more of the same. And again, people are going to say because I'm salty or you hate that again, Felix, blah, 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 blah. The reason why I don't think he'll have a better time is because he's landed in the same situation he came to Chelsea in the first place. Unproven manager, the scattergun approach to the club not fully formed yet as a clear and aligned structure, bloated squad, players who don't want to be there, players being forced out, and the style of play has not been formulated yet. It's not been solidified yet. So how can I expect Felix to magically turn everything around when we saw what he did in Chelsea with the same situation anyway? It's a tough one. It's one of those ones where I have to look and be like, I feel for Maresca. And I feel for the players actually. I do feel for Joao Felix coming in, the Pedro Neres, because yes, it looks exciting on the face of it. But when you've got all this noise, when you've got all this hype, when you've got all this movement and action and change happening all at one time for footballers and for managers, it actually makes their job harder. Because now Maresca hasn't been settled this entire time. He hasn't got a settled squad. He hasn't got a settled 11. His style of play is going to be harder to implement because he's got to teach so many different players the same system. And then he doesn't even know which players will be leaving, which ones will be going. You know what I'm saying? And so
No,
it
I
makes
do get
things a
that.
lot harder for them.
I understand that point. I mean, Chelsea have briefed the media to state that by the time that the sort of the window ends, they want to have a 23 to 24 man side squad. So they want to loan and sell a lot of people. So they could be very busy in that regard. So I'm not really worried about all the youth players that make up the 46 man squad. That's for me an exaggeration, but they do need to. I think if they get Joao Felix and Osimhen, they then need to make a decision. There's talk that Jackson could leave. What are they going to do with Gay? I always keep saying his name wrong. Guiu. What's going to happen with Guiu? Could he be the reason they changed their mind on Amarodian? Is a fair point. I think Raheem Sterling will need to go if these deals happen. I know he did okay in the second half yesterday, but I think they need to, if they could find a buyer or a loan move for someone like Mykhailo Mudryk, I think that's going to be absolutely key. Because I just don't see how with Pedro Neto and Joao Felix coming in, I just don't see how Mykhailo Mudryk gets any game time. And in fairness, I have been corrected by something, and this is right. Chelsea are at the World Club Championships that's being played in June. So if you do well in all competitions this year, it could be 70-plus games. But still, I don't know how Mykhailo Mudryk gets game time with Pedro Neto and Joao Felix in the team. Neto's injuries may play a part in that, but if those two are both fit, which is what you're hoping for, then I think you've got to find moves out for him. So what they've got to do, where you're right, is what they've got to do for Maresca, and it does appear to be part of Chelsea's plan, is to now move out a lot of these players. And if they do...